Hello, this is Hutchinson Brown, and you're listening to the Dynasty Hotseat.
Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in once again to the only Dynasty show out there that is a certified inferno. We're back on the Dynasty Hot Seat. We got a very welcome, familiar guest in Hutchinson Brown, the young prodigy himself. You can find him over on X at Hutchinson B underscore FF. Dude's a busy guy. You do some stuff for the football guys. I've seen your guest appearances and podcasts all the time, like this amazing podcast right here. And of course, you're the host of Hutch coming in clutch. Great name, by the way, Hutch. Great to have you
Thank
back on
you.
the show. How you doing, mate?
Yo, man, I'm so excited to be back. I've been on a couple of times doing some rookie mock. Excited to be back here for another one. We got a really fun set of rookies this year, man. A lot of interesting names.
Absolutely. Before we jump into it, Hutch, I think the general mood post draft is, eh, people just kind of going, it's almost like a class of what could have been. But this seems to happen every single year now where we hype up dream landing spots and then the reality kind of hits home a little hard sometimes. What do you think of some of the landing spots?
Yeah, it was a really mixed feelings in terms of the landing spots. I mean, I was on a show last night with Club Fantasy. Honestly, I think the underrated position in terms of landing spot was the tight end position. Oops, sorry
Mm,
about that. Well, it was the tight end
you're good, man.
position. Like every single tight end got a spot where it's like, yes, there's a veteran in front of them, or maybe there's not even someone in front of them. But next year, that veteran's likely gone, and they're
Yeah.
either in a good offense, they have a good quarterback. There's something promoting their fantasy football value pretty early. Like the tight end position has a lot of good landing spots, and they're a really talented class. So I'm excited about these tight ends mostly. But I agree with you that this draft class, in terms of landing spots, got some really confusing ones that made it hard for fantasy to analyze.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll discuss most of them as we bring up our draft board here. Let's switch it around to that. Looks a lot nicer. Hutch, you're on the clock for every single position here, so that's absolutely great. We're gonna go through all of our first round. We've got a super flex draft. We don't have any tight end premium on this, but I'm sure we'll still talk about some of these tight ends for sure. In
Mhm.
round two, we'll speed it up a bit. We'll maybe get you to make 3 picks in a row, and we'll focus in on one player to chat about. But I mean, the one you're not going to shock anyone here, right? We all know who this guy's going to be, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna shock anybody here. I've seen the arguments for a quarterback here, and I get it. I understand the argument, and we'll talk about that quarterback a little bit later in this rookie mock. But at 101,
Yeah.
we're going Ashton Genty. He's the generational running back prospect. He went to probably the best landing spot he'd have gone to in Las
Yeah.
Vegas. I mean, there's a couple other spots, but Pete Carroll's gonna build this offense around the running back position. They've built up their offensive line. And their offense honestly just looks a lot better. You have a veteran quarterback, Smith, who's probably going to be pretty prone to dumping the football off to the running back position. That's going to be great for Genty,
Yeah.
who's a great pass catcher. Then you have Brock Bowers, you have Jacoby Myers. They drafted Jack Besh. They have a better offensive line. Like I said, this is a built up offense. I think Genty is going to do really well in it.
You mentioned the pass catching there. I think that's something that's perhaps a little bit underrated from Ashton Genty. I think that's kind of
Mm.
going almost under the radar a little bit. So I'm glad you brought it up that people are just assuming because of what he did in college, almost breaking the all-time rushing record in college. People are kind of forgetting this guy's got some good hands on him, and this
Oh,
might see
yeah.
him catapult. I mean, it's not been done for a while. He's got a chance to finish running back one overall as a rookie. What do you give him odds for that?
Well, that'll be shocking. Actually, no, it wouldn't be that shocking, but it'd be quite lofty to put him RB1 overall. Obviously you have some
Yeah.
really talented names at the top, but in redraft, I'm definitely putting him in the first round. He definitely
Yeah.
deserves to be in that conversation in the first round. That top 12 conversation. There are some talented running backs at the top. So with Bijan, Jameer Gibbs, with CMC, it might be harder to put him at RB1 overall, but it's definitely going to be hard to keep him out of that top six.
Absolutely, and definitely hard to keep him off the number one spot in any rookie you draft right now.
Oh
So
yeah.
let's move along to 1, 2. Who you going with here?
Now, after 101, it's a really interesting tier for me from 2 through 6, where there's a lot of different ways you could do the order. And number 2 for
Yeah,
me, I've got Amari Hampton.
nice.
They drafted by the Chargers in the first round. I really want to put Travion Henderson here. I really do. But the problem is when you look at the history of first round running backs, Amari Hampton is on such a good list right now. The first round running
Yeah,
backs don't miss. Like the NFL, when they see a running back they like and they take him the first round, you bet on that. I mean, we saw Jahmyr Gibbs get reached on in the first round last year. I know I was a big Jahmyr Gibbs stan before he was drafted. And then all of a sudden he got top 12 capital. And I was very excited about that. And look where he's at now. He's becoming a superstar. But Amari Hampton, he's landed on a great spot with the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman. That run system is incredible. The offensive line is great. That offense is going to be elite with Justin Herbert, Ladd McConkey, and hope maybe Trey Harris if he works out for years to come. I'm really, really excited for Amari Hampton in this offense. Obviously, Najee's in the way, so redraft this year might be a little sketchy. It might be take a little bit of time for Amari Hampton to take over this backfield, but there's nothing that Najee Harris does that Amari Hampton can't do better. So eventually, this backfield will be his.
Yeah, I just can't imagine being Harbaugh and going, you know what, we're going to give it to Najee. I don't like, there's no scenario where you're like, let me give it to Najee here, because Hampton just seems like, you're right, he does everything better. And it might just be that it takes him a couple of weeks to learn the system and get new things to grips.
Yeah.
But people kind of forget, Najee Harris is in that same boat as well. He has to learn this system too. Like, he's not, I know he's been playing in the league a lot longer, but he's got to get to grips with this as well. So I don't think it's necessarily a given that Najee is going to start the year either. I think you'll maybe see him in on third downs a little bit, maybe a bit more. But Hampton, I would like to think will be the first and second down back for sure. And Najee, of course, we've seen he's got great pass catching chops as well, mostly with Ben Roethlisberger, if we remember back in his rookie year.
Yeah,
so I think that might
94 target season, 94 targets that year. And Hampton can pass catch too, but that will definitely be a competition. If there's anything that's going to be a competition between those two, it's going to be the pass catching and the pass blocking, because Hampton isn't superstar level at that.
No, definitely not. But he's definitely worth that pick at 1-2. I think I'm in the same boat as you, Hutch. You mentioned you really wanted Trevion Henderson. I had Henderson ahead of Hampton pre-draft, but now
I did.
You gotta move him up. You're right. You gotta listen to the draft. So I've done the same as you. Maybe we'll talk about Henderson in a little bit, but
we will.
Who's going at 1-3?
Henderson. Henderson's going 1-3.
There we go.
Right now. We're talking about it right now. Yeah, if Henderson was, if like New England traded him in the first round to get Henderson, he would be easily my 102. But it's just the draft capital. You gotta listen to the draft capital sometimes and move your players around as a result. You can't solely stick to your priors. You have to let the NFL teach you a little bit. Hampton went in the first round, got to put him there, but Henderson at 3. I could not be more excited about this landing spot. I like New England has made it very clear he can do everything and he's going to do everything. I see him being such a versatile player for this offense. Henderson, when I watch film, when the Patriots saw it, he is not afraid to drop a shoulder. He is not afraid to be physical. He is a tad undersized, but it's very similar to Jahmyr Gibbs, where you saw he's not afraid to run between the tackles. It's not DeAndre Swift, where he's bouncing every single run to the outside. He's not afraid to go in between the tackles. He's willing to break contact. He's willing to force missed tackles up in the middle of the field. And then looking at his explosive abilities on the outside, if you get that guy near the sideline, you get him a nice stretch run, he is gone. I mean, he's just gone. You give him some space, he's a handful to bring down. He's way too quick, way too explosive in the open field. He's also great as a receiver, obviously. He can take screens. He can take little jet sweeps. He can take anything you want. He can work in the slot outside. He can go anywhere you want as a receiver, run some great routes. The most important thing that's going to get him on the field right away, he's the best pass blocker in this entire class. Definitely. He is an elite pass blocker. I could watch his pass blocking highlights for hours, and I almost did when looking at his profile. I found a video where just Trevion Henderson pass blocking highlights. I was mind blown by this kid, man. He does not allow anybody to go by him. I mean, if he was like a PFF, if he was getting like PFF offensive line grades, he'd be up there. The dude is so good at blocking. He's unbelievable. It's going to earn him spots on the field right away, especially as a rookie. And looking at Ryan Stevenson, people might be threatened by him. I'm not threatened in the slightest. The Patriots have been like salivating over the thought of Trevion Henderson working at every range of the field since they've drafted him. They've talked about how they can work him inside. They've talked about his pass blocking. They talked about the receiving upside. And then Ryan Stevenson has had 2 back-to-back terrible seasons. I mean, he's been absolutely awful. I know they gave him that contract to try to boost his confidence, but it really just didn't work. I think they're making it very clear here that Trevion Henderson's going to be the guy, and Stevenson might get some dirty carries here and there. So Henderson's going to probably be a next Devon H. and Jahmyr Gibbs, where he's getting 200-ish carries, and he's also getting like 60 to 70 targets, and he's just going to be a monster in fantasy football.
I love it. And I've got a good mindset switch for people out there. who are maybe Trevion Henderson owners who are worried about Ramondre Stevenson, why don't you switch it over to, if you're a Ramondre Stevenson owner, how worried are you about Trevion
Oh
Henderson,
no,
right? You
he's
can't,
done. Oh, he's
like, yeah,
done. No, it's over. He's done. Yeah, no. There's no. The only thing Ramon Receivers could do in this offense is score some touchdowns. But this offense, we aren't projecting it to be an elite offense, so it's not going to. And I don't like. People might do the David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs comp. It's not there. Like the offensive line isn't there. The offense isn't that level, and Ramon Stevenson isn't that good. And I don't think he's going to get even that much volume. Like
no,
Stevenson is done. If you're a Stevenson
yeah.
manager, I'm just like giving up on him. He's not in my starting lineup.
Yeah, he can't make a lineup, and
No.
while he's maybe got a sliver of value, might be a good time now to kind of trade him out of there and get rid. Maybe someone drafted Trevion Henderson, and you can trade him to them as a little bit of a handcuff. Yeah, that might be the move. But I love the Henderson pick at 1-3. Who's following up? We've got running back. We go in another position, or are we hitting these running backs still?
No, we're going to another position now. The running backs aren't going to come for a little bit. I'm looking at number 4 I'm looking at Cam Ward here. And here's the thing about Cam Ward. He's very versatile for me in terms of rankings. If
Yeah.
you're a non-QB needy team, I could see the argument to not take him until 5 or 6. Because Ted McMillan and Travis Hunter are fantastic. I could see the argument not to take him until 5, 6. If you need that quarterback, I'm willing to take him at 2. Because here's the thing, like I think talent should be first in drafts. I think talent should be first. You should be prioritizing talent and value for what players you're drafting. However, don't reach out of a tier just to get a position of need. Like I'm not reaching here if I need a running back for a Quishon Judkins or a Caleb Johnson or an RJ Harvey. That's a ridiculous pick to make. You have a tier here of elite players. So if you're willing to if you want to reach inside that tier to get Cam Ward at 2 or 3 just to fill that quarterback need, that's fine. So I'm going to put Cam Ward at 4 just to even it out, to put him right in the middle of where I think he could be ranked for me. And I want to shout out Dave Kluge, fellow football guy, for this research. Since 1993, quarterbacks drafted first overall are 84% likely to start 80-plus games. That's a really good hit rate. 84% in this game, that's a really good thing to bet on. And 80-plus games is basically 5 seasons. The first overall pick has such a long leash, and to the first overall pick, they're for a reason. They're usually a very good quarterback. And Titans are looking for a franchise player. They're going to give him a very long leash, Cam Ward, and I'm excited to see what he does. So he's worth that pick at 4, even though people were slightly concerned about him as a prospect. I think he's going to be good. The first overall capital gives him a huge, huge leash. So I'm excited about that.
I absolutely love that. Dave Kluge sharing that stat right here on the Dynasty Hot Seat not so long ago as well. So we love Dave Kluge here. But Hutch, before we move on, I've got some bad news. Brother. Because do you know that right now, and I'll show you on the screen. Can you see what it says right there on the analytics page for the Dynasty Hot Seat? Do you see that number? Not subscribed. 78% of people watching right now
It's too high.
not subscribed. What do you got to say to these people? What do you got to say to them?
Smash the subscribe button. Come on, bro.
Absolutely.
It's one button.
Absolutely.
It's one button.
It is one button. It is super simple. Hey, we're almost at 1,000 as well, which would be pretty awesome. I'd love to get to 1,000. I think we're about 20 people away. So if you want to be one of those magic 20, let's help out. Let's hit that subscribe button. That'd be great. Right, back to the draft, bud. Let's go in. You've picked up 4 players so far. Where are we going next at 1-5?
At 5, I feel bad that he's fallen this far. We're going Ted McMillan, wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. He was a top 10 pick at wide receiver in Dynasty. That's incredibly hard to pass up on in the top 5 of rookie drafts. You know, with Ted McMillan, it was like, does he go in the teens? Does he go in the late first? Like, where are we looking for Ted McMillan? And then he goes top 10. That was not expected. And, you know, Carolina, their moves sometimes are questionable. However, I do think Ted McMillan's a very good player, and he steps in here, and he's going to be the clear-cut number 1 wide receiver right away. He just completes this offense so perfectly to me, because you have Jalen Coker, a great field stretcher, someone that's going to be really fun to get some touches to. Jatavian Sanders, a very solid tight end prospect. And then you have Xavier Legette, who I know they drafted. I know he hasn't worked out so far, but he's an interesting athlete that could do something in the next couple of years if he were to develop better, if he were to get some better hands. And then Adam Thielen, a very solid vet that could help fill in for you here and there. But Ted McMillan is that true dominant wide receiver 1 that I expect, honestly, to get 110, 120 targets as a rookie.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be right there as a target monster. He's a big possession wide receiver that Bryce Young's just going to have to look to on a very regular basis, getting him that football, peppering him with targets. And that's going to be really fun for fantasy. It's going to keep him in that high wide receiver 2 conversation. So I'm putting him here at 5. And then 6, we're going back-to-back receivers, and I'm going with Travis Hunter. Is Travis Hunter a receiver? I think he will be. I think he's going to be primarily a receiver for this offense. Obviously, he's going to have some skills at DB, and they desperately need DB in Jacksonville. So he's going to play both. The team has made it clear he's going to play both. However, looking at his prospects as a receiver, Liam Cohen, this offense should be fun. Trevor Lawrence is a solid quarterback, and all you have to do is deal with Brian Thomas Jr. as the wide receiver 1, and you're next in line for the monstrous target share as the number 2 receiver in the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. So the thing is, he could play a lot of DB. He could be very limited wide receiver, and it could put him in that wide receiver 3 conversation rather than being in a top 12, top 20 wide receiver.
Mm.
So I think 6 appropriately bakes the risk that you're putting in by drafting Travis Hunter. If you're putting him at 2 or 3, you're drafting him over players that have such high likelihoods of success that it just doesn't really make the risk worth it. Travis Hunter at 6 makes a lot more sense to me. Now, this is where another tier breaks, and we're going to go get some tight ends. We're going to go back-to-back Colson Loveland and Tyler Warren at 7 or 8. Now, I have Colson Loveland a tad higher because the draft capital was just significant.
Yeah.
When you look at top 10 picks at tight end, that hit rate's pretty nice. I mean, top 15 for Tyler Warren as well. I mean, the hit rate also is very nice when you look at fantasy football. But for him to get that kind of draft capital that we didn't really expect is absolutely incredible. Like, I had Colson Loveland ranked as my tight end 3 coming in. I wasn't even that high on him coming in, but I'm listening to the NFL and telling myself, the NFL told you Colson Loveland's really good. He was handpicked by Ben Johnson. I mean, he was very clear. The first 2 rounds of the draft, handpicked by Ben Johnson. Like, Ben Johnson, it was running this draft, it felt like. And I'm really, really excited to see how Colson Loveland fits in this offense. Obviously, it's very crowded, and you have Cole Kmet, so year 1 might be a little slow. But if Caleb Williams develops the way we want him to, year 2, year 3, and beyond could be very exciting for Colson Loveland. And then Tyler Warren, a lot of people are really worried about Anthony Richardson, and that's very valid. I think they're going to try to do their best with Tyler Warren to get him involved with forced touches, things like screens, jet sweeps, handoffs, quick drag routes, just some things that get him in space so that Tyler Warren can make plays after the catch, because that's what he is. 8.9 yards per attempt on 22 carries, second among all players in the country with 20 rushes. That was last year in college. All players, receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, everybody, which is kind of insane.
Yeah.
Literally insane. One of the best guys in the NFL. I mean, one of the best guys in college football in yards after catch per reception, missed tackles forced as well. He put up 1,200 yards. The dude is a monster. You can pepper him with targets, give him those forced touches, and let him cook. And Anthony Richardson needs a guy like that right now. You know, Josh Downs is a smaller slot player. He's not getting you some crazy yak. Michael Pittman doesn't have the crazy athleticism to get you yak. Tyler Warren, he really does. And I think this completes his Colts offense in a different way.
I love the landing spot for Tyler Warren. I mean, it's weird. I kind of felt like pre-draft, everyone was like, wow, Tyler Warren to the Colts, let's do it, let's go. And then he lands in the Colts. People are like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, hold on. When did people start changing their tune all of a sudden? This was where he was meant to go. And yeah, Loveland as well. Travis Hunter, just circling back a little bit. I know we haven't had this discussion for a while, and kind of for good reason, because the myth has kind of been debunked. But I wonder for Travis Hunter, because he will play both sides. Are you worried about how big he is to play both sides in the NFL?
He is, I mean, he's only, I think he's like 195, right? He's like just under 200 pounds, which is a bit slimmer. It absolutely is a bit slimmer, but I think he's gonna be fine. I mean, he clearly was able to do it in college with no worries. I mean, he took care of it. He clearly takes care of his body. He clearly knows what he's doing. I think he's gonna be able to do both. Now, 100% snap shares, 90% snap shares. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think we're going to see him lean more one way than the other, and that's why it's risky to take him in rookie drafts. However, I do see him playing both. He really wants to play both, and the Jaguars coaching and the GM have made it very clear he's going to play both.
Yeah, you don't move up to draft him and not play on both sides. It doesn't make sense to play on both. So
you draft him for the generational talent that he is, because if you're drafting him just to be a receiver, just to be a corner, he's not worth the number 2 overall pick. I'm just going to say that, because I don't think he's the most talented receiver in this class. I don't think he's the most I mean, you could argue he's the most talented DB in this class, actually. You can make arguments for both, but if he was just a receiver, just a DB, he wouldn't go 2 overall. It's because he's a wide receiver and a DB, he's going 2 overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, he's locked in, as well as our 2 tight ends. We got 4 picks left in round 1. Hutch, where are you going to go with pick 9?
Yeah, so for number 9, where it's get back to the running back position and go Quishon Judkins. Loved him
Yep.
coming out of college. I thought he was a phenomenal player. Went to the Cleveland Browns, who have a wide open spot for running back. Jerome Ford is a guy. He is fine. Dylan Sampson. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the video recently that just came out. Dylan Sampson and Quishon Judkins were doing footwork in a race right next to each other. Judkins is 20 pounds heavier, and he looked so much smoother and faster. Like, I like Dylan Sampson coming out,
Yeah.
but Quishon Judkins is a different level of player. He's a different level of
Yes.
athlete. He can do all things you need him to. He's a little choppy as a receiver, but he
Yeah.
can get it done if you really need him to. He can take some screens and a couple dump offs here and there, but he's really good as a rusher. He's very explosive. He can hit the home runs, and he's so physical at the contact point. So he's going to be a great guy for Cleveland just to try with no quarterback position. No quarterbacks that are really good, with the receiving room pretty questionable. One thing that's not going to be questionable is that Quishon Judkins is good at football, and I think they're going to give him the football a lot this year.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at the Cleveland Browns new rookie room, it's like a half of a sleeper draft. Like these guys have picked up a hell of a lot of players. Like, and I think Judkins might be the pick of them all. He's certainly the first one coming off the board here. So I love
Yeah,
Judkins there. I think he might be one looking back on it in a few years' time. People are like, damn, I managed to get Judkins all the way back here. Like that's a pretty
yeah.
smooth deal for me. So we got 3 picks left. Where are we going to go to follow Quinshon Judkins?
So we're going to go with Luther Burden at 10. Wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. Second round selection, again, handpicked by Ben Johnson. It really felt like he was making the calls.
Yeah.
It's an interesting fit in Chicago. Interesting fit with Roma
Right.
Dunze, DJ Moore, Colson Loveland already there. You would think Luther
Yeah.
Burden more as a slot receiver. With that, he's a bit undersized. He's really athletic. You think of him as that slot role, but Colson Loveland's also very much a slot receiver. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting to see how this fit goes. I don't know if you saw the press conference where he picked number 87. And did you see the press conference of why he picked 87?
I didn't know.
He said, and I quote, all the good numbers were gone. So he picked 87. That was what he said. So that was a pretty fun start for him in Chicago.
Fair.
But I think,
Fair.
something about Luther Burden, I think he's going to earn targets right away because he's a guy that just forces you to give him manufactured touches. He's great in the screen game. He's great in those short areas of the field where you give him space and he goes. He can take jet sweeps. He's similar to, like, I don't want to make this comp directly because they're not the same player, but Deebo Samuel in a sense where you give him the football and you just let him go. He's able to break
Yeah.
tackles. He's able to hit the home run runs. He's so explosive with the football in his hands. He's dangerous in the open field. Like Luther Burns, someone you just give the ball to him, let him fly, or you just chuck it to him downfield. And I think that's going to be really, really fun for fantasy. Ben Johnson's going to have a great time forcing him some touches.
Yeah, they're going to have a hell of a lot of fun over there. There's a lot of weapons. And I know a lot of people are concerned, like, oh, there's so many mouths to feed. But I mean, we've seen it over at the Lions. There was a lot of people, like you had David Montgomery, you had Jameer Gibbs, you had Amon-Ra St. Brown, you had Sam Laporte, you had all these guys. And in the last 2 years, we've seen every single one of those players thrive for fantasy football. So I'm with you. I'm trusting Ben Johnson to get these guys the touches that they need and have a lot of fun. And it might be that they end up getting less touches than other players, but you kind of trust Ben Johnson enough to make sure that the touches they do get are quality touches and translate to fantasy points. And I think Luther Burden can certainly do that. Maybe not fully in year 1, but year 2, I think they'll maybe look for it out on DJ Moore, and Luther Burden will come in and take his real space there. So it's certainly an investment, potential buy window for Luther Burden in a couple of months' time. Hutch, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just about to mention DJ Moore might be out of the Chicago Bears in the next couple of years. He is aging out. That
Yeah.
contract's looking a little scary for his departure. So, and then Roma Dunze, like obviously we want to bet on him. I'm betting on him. He might not be good. I mean, he didn't have the stellar rookie season. I mean, he flashed a
No.
little bit here and there, but it's definitely questionable to whether he's going to be a very productive NFL receiver or not. And if he's not, this is going to open the window for Luther Burden even more, especially considering Colson Love, a tight end, is a rookie.
Hmm.
So, like, man, it could very quickly become wide open for Luther Burden.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm really interested to see that Bears offense and what it looks like this year. So Burton's in at 10. 2 more picks of the first round, Hutch. Where are we going with the penultimate one?
So let's wrap up the first round. We're to go Emeka Ibuka for Tampa Bay
Yep.
at 11. You're gonna have to be patient with this one. This is a
Yeah.
pick that's gonna test your patience. This is gonna be a very JSN slash Roma Dunze rookie year where there's just too much talent at the veterans with the veterans in front of them and Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Jalen Millen, Kate Otten. However, within a couple of years, Mike Evans, 30 plus years old, Chris Godwin, almost 30 years old, coming off a broken ankle. Jalen McMillan is fun, but I don't think he's going to last in terms of battling Emeka Ibuka for target
No.
shares. So eventually, I think after this offseason, Mike Evans, that contract is probably going to, that contract's probably going to come out on itself. Chris Godwin, it could very easily seem that he's moved on from. So Emeka Ibuka soon will have a very good role in this offense with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, who we know is a great quarterback. Now, it's just going to take a while. And that's why he's at 11 instead of at like 7 or 8.
Yeah, I really like Emeka Ibuka. I think that
Good player.
he's like super slept on. Chris Godwin, there are rumors going around that he might not even be healthy to start the season. He might not be able to make into the team immediately. If Ibuka is able to come in and start in the slot right away, everyone's looking at Mike Evans over there, so he's going to have a pretty clear run at some targets immediately. And I think Ibuka, I've got no concerns about how he's going to come into any offense and learn the system. So I think he's going to be hitting the ground running if Chris Godwin cannot start that season. And Hutch, we've seen it before. You just know Chris Godwin's going to get injured, right?
I mean, yeah, Chris Godwin has dealt with some injuries in his career. The one thing I would say to contest that is that the Bucks knew he was injured and gave him a 3-year, $60 million plus contract, which is huge money. The guaranteed money was about $40 million. Like, that's legit money for a wide receiver. I would be very, very shocked if the Bucks decided to give him that money and then Chris Godwin isn't even close to ready for week 1. I think he's definitely going to. I think he's going to be. He might not be 100%, but he's going to be ready for week 1, in my opinion. That contract's too hefty to make him not ready.
Yeah, I would certainly hope so. He deserves it. He deserves a break as well.
Gosh,
Hopefully
he's such a good player.
Yeah. I hope he can get a clean season under his belt. Let's hope so. And Ibuka can shine even with Godwin on the field as well. He's locked in at 11. Who's the final pick of the first round?
We're going RJ Harvey. We're going RJ Harvey at 12. I don't know how you feel about RJ Harvey, but I think this Denver landing spot is just so wide open for him. Audric Estimate and Jaleel McLaughlin are nothing. Like, I'm sorry, they're not good players. RJ Harvey's going to clearly, if he's really that good, like the second round draft capital suggests, he's going to instantly take over this backfield. He's going to be the lead guy. He can pass catch. He can run really well. He's got the explosive ability. He's got the long home run ability. He can take any run wherever you need it to be. He really is a great player. And a lot of people like to argue that he's 24 years old, and that's fine. He's not going to last as long in the NFL as some other players. However, looking back to back 2 seasons prior to his age 24 season, incredibly productive back-to-back seasons before his age 24 year. The first one when he was age 22, it wasn't a lot of volume, but when you look, he was over 7 yards a carry. He was making plays left and right. I watched the highlights from 2022 and the film from 2022. He looks like the same guy he does just this year, just with more volume and more opportunity. So RJ Harvey, I'm not worried much about the age at all. And then Sean Payton, that backfield, we know what Sean Payton can do with the backfield. You know what's crazy to me? I learned yesterday. I want you to guess, Max, how many targets did Javonte Williams have last year in Denver's offense? I want you to guess.
Javonte. I mean, he's not really known for pass catching at all. What did he get, like 20 targets?
70.
Whoa.
70 targets, 52 receptions last year.
Wow.
Denver forces usage for their running backs in the pass catching game over the last couple of years since Sean Payton has taken over. It's been very abundantly clear. Running backs are involved in the passing game. And Jaleel McLaughlin cannot pass block to save his life. He's not going to be on the field for passing downs. And then Audric Estimate is not a pass catching back. RJ Harvey has proven he can pass catch. I'm not saying 70 targets is the range of outcomes for him. I think it'd be more like 40-ish as a rookie, but that pass catching upside is definitely there.
You asked me what I thought about RJ Harvey. Hutch, for months I've been screaming at the rooftops that RJ Harvey is the truth. And now that he's got the draft capital, I'm actually slightly annoyed because now I can't get as many shares as RJ Harvey as I wanted to.
He's going in the first round now, yeah.
Man, he was like, whenever we first started doing this draft, like I started way back in end of October, and every person talking about their sleepers, I was like, man, RJ Harvey, someone I'm going to snap up in the 3rd round. If people aren't taking him in the first 2, I'm taking infinite shares of RJ Harvey, and now he's going at the back end of the first. So it's lovely to see that my process was correct, and I did spot some talent in RJ Harvey, but it's bittersweet because now everybody else is seeing it as well, and I can't get as many shares as I wanted. But I'm glad to see some respect on RJ Harvey's name for sure. And that is the end of round 1. Hutch, we'll ramp it up a bit in round 2. Can you give me your 2-1, 2-2, and 2-3? And then I'll let you choose one player in particular to zone in on.
Absolutely. So let's go. My 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-2, and 2-3 are going to be Caleb Johnson and then Trey
Yep.
Harris. And then we're finally going to take the first round wide receiver of the Packers and Matthew Golden. I don't want to, but I'm going to do it. And this is the guy I'm
You
going to talk
say,
about.
yeah, you about to say you said you don't want to. So why in particular is that?
I'm going to be honest. Matthew Golden is not a good player. Matthew Golden's not good at football, guys. It's not there. I get it. He ran the 4.29 combine, the 40-yard dash. That is the only thing that is special about him. There's nothing else on the field that screams good player. There's nothing on the field that screams wide receiver one. His route running is fine. His route running truly, his footwork, his route tree is fine. It's not advanced to an NFL level. It is fine. He's not worth the first round talent there. His speed on the field, while he ran 4.29 at the combine, it does not look 4.29 on the field, guys. It looks like a 4.3, 4.4 player, which is very fast, but it's not what we saw on the combine. He doesn't even have that kind of speed. The explosiveness, the quick twitch ability is not there. It's more straight line speed. You look at his contested catch ability, even considering that he's 180 pounds, he plays small. I mean, his contested catch percentage was like under 40% last year. He's incredibly tough when it comes to catches in traffic, and not tough as in like good, tough as in like tough to watch. Like, it's just disastrous. If there's anybody near him, he's not catching that football. I just don't see it with him at all. He plays small. He's not that fast as the combine suggests, and he's not a great route runner. He doesn't create enough separation on a regular basis. He just doesn't scream wide receiver one. The Packers needed a Tet McMillan. They needed a big possession receiver that could absorb a target share. Matthew Golden is another complementary piece, full of a receiving room of complementary pieces. I think this was an absolute reach in the first round. You know, the thing is, like, Matthew Golden, when we were approaching, the playoffs for college football, Matthew Golden was not even considered a potential first-round pick. He was more like a day 2, maybe even a day 3 pick. Then Texas gets the national playoff attention. Matthew Golden has a couple of good games. Then he runs the combine. Then all of a sudden, he's a first-round pick. Locked in first-round pick. That sudden rise for very questionable reasoning is such a huge red flag. Like, those players that rise like that, it's always a bad sign. Like, it is always such a bad sign for those players. So I could not be more out on Matthew Golden. He's that one player that I cannot draft. At the 2-3, I see why people want to get him, and I'm fine with it. But, like, there are other players that I want to draft. Like, I want to draft somebody else. Like, if I'm on the clock at the 2, I rank him here, but bottom of the clock at 2-3, and Matthew Golden's there. Like, I don't want to pick him. Like, I just don't want to, because I want to take a player that I actually think is going to be good.
Do you know how many shares I'm going to end up of Matthew Golden?
0. Yeah, I'm going to have none, man. I don't have none.
For almost exactly what you said, Hutch. I always say every single year there is a player that rockets up boards almost exclusively because of the draft. And, I just mentioned in the last point, I've been doing these mock drafts since before the college season ended. Matthew Golden wasn't appearing in round 1 or round 2 or on anyone's sleeper list even until the NFL draft. And you mentioned red flag. That is the biggest red flag imaginable for me, where people didn't think he was that good when they watched him play. Just because he's quite fast in underwear doesn't mean that he should be rocketing up boards. And yeah, man, for me, I'm not even happy to take him at 2-3. I'd rather take a punt on somebody else and let him fall down even further, because it's a crowded room. I don't think he stands out. I don't even think he's the best wide receiver in that Green Bay room, even. So yeah, I think you're spot on with that. Is there a chance that he's going to get fed targets and him and Jordan Love,
No, he's
become
not a
best
target
mates?
earner.
I just don't think
He was
so.
never a target earner at the college level, guys. He was I mean, you have on Texas as a sophomore, a rookie. I can't remember their names right now, that are seriously talented and could have potential NFL talent. But there's a sophomore and a rookie, and then you have Isaiah Bond, who just went undrafted in the NFL draft and is still undrafted. He's not even signed. Obviously, that was due to some emotional issues and also an injury. He could have been a day 3 pick if he didn't have that stuff. But still, an undrafted free agent, not even signed. This was the competition you're dealing with. Matthew Golden didn't even hit 1,000 yards in the regular season in college. Didn't even hit 1,000 yards. It took an Isaiah Bond injury for him to even be really relevant to this offense in the Texas playoffs. And then looking at his game log, just kind of look at his game log. He
He's
disappears in
nothing.
half of his games. Half of his games, he's not even
Yep.
involved in the offense. If you look at first round talents in history, these guys are target earners, earning a baseline 6+ targets every single game. They're constantly involved in their offense. Matthew Golden was a complementary piece of his offense. Do you really think he's going to come to the NFL as a complementary piece where speed is his only true calling card and be a wide receiver 1 in the NFL? No. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. There's no math being done there. So I don't see it with Matthew Golden. Obviously, a first-round wide receiver, it's hard to bet against, but the NFL misses on these guys on a regular basis. There's always a guy or
All
two
the
every
time.
year that the NFL misses on. I'm betting on that guy being Matthew Golden. There's way too many red flags.
Yeah, me and you both, Hutch, absolutely. So he is in there at 2-3. Who's your next group of 3 players? 2-4, 2-5, 2-6.
So I'm looking at Jalen Noel next. I'm looking at
Nice.
Jackson Dart. And I am looking at Jalen Milroe.
Nice. Which one would you like to focus in on there, Hutch?
It's a tough choice. There's a couple I really like because I absolutely love Jalen Noel in the Texans offense. I think he's going to be an amazing underneath player next to Nico Collins, but I really do want to talk about Jalen Milroe. I think he
Let's do
is
it.
such an underrated ball. I mean, everyone likes to talk about the rushing. I think this dude could develop into a capable passer. I think it's truly there. When I watch the film, when I see what I see plenty of times. It's not consistent, but plenty of times where he's reading the field. He's going through multiple reads. He's making an accurate throw. He's
Yep.
delivering a great pass in timing. Obviously, plenty of times where he's not doing any of those things, but there's plenty of times where he looks like a capable NFL passer. If Seattle sits him long enough, which hopefully it'll be at least 1 year behind Sam Darnold, and they develop him right, this dude could be a Lamar Jackson light, where it's just he's good enough as a passer to stay on the football field. He's good as a passer, and he's an elite runner. And it's going to be what we thought Trey Lance could be. It's going to be what we thought, some of these crazy rushers that just didn't. It's what we thought Anthony Richardson could be. Like, that's what he could turn into. And that
Yeah.
is so worth taking in a Superflex league in the second round.
Yeah, and even like you mentioned, Trey Lance and Anthony Richardson, Jalen Milroe's a better athlete than both those guys.
Oh
Even
yeah,
Anthony Richardson, who's a
100%.
freak. Jalen Milroe, if you've not seen this guy, he's the fastest guy in the field. Like running backs, wide receivers, whatever. Jalen Milroe's running past all those guys. And there was a period last season where he was like going in and he torched Georgia. And there was like a 4 or 5 week stretch where I was just like, how is this guy going to end up being anything but quarterback 1? And then he did slightly fall off. But if he can bottle that like 4 or 5 week stretch where he was just unstoppable, this guy is going to just absolutely explode and kill it for fantasy points. Just, I would pay attention to, a lot of people made a mistake with Justin Fields where he was scoring lots of fantasy points. If he is doing this and he does get a chance, but the Seahawks aren't winning games, that's the only time you have to be worried about, because I think we see with rushing quarterbacks in particular, they have a shorter shelf life than some of your accurate passes because teams will just move on and think, you know what, we have to go back to basics.
Yeah, if they're not an accurate passer, if they're not accurate enough, you're going to get a Justin Fields level career where it's just like you get a couple
Yep.
years, but the team realizes he's not going to win his games and he moves on. I think Jalen Moreau could be better than that, though. And you just have to watch. Now, the next 3 players we're talking about here, we're putting Harold Fannin first. He's going to be the guy I talk about because
Yep.
I'm incredibly excited about Harold Fannin. I know that this is a bit of a shocker
Nice.
pick because he usually doesn't go to the 4th round. Then Elijah Arroyo is next, and then we're talking about Cam Scadaboo.
Nice. So you spoke about Harold Fannin. Let's hear about Harold.
Yeah. Harold Fannin, I don't know how you feel about Harold Fannin. He was my 10-2 coming into this class. I could not be more excited about Harold Fannin. Guys, this is literally a 1,500-yard tight end. He broke the record for the most receiving yards by a tight end in college football history. He had more yards as a junior than Colson Loveland, Elijah Arroyo, Mason Taylor, some of your favorite tight end prospects, Taryn Ferguson, all did as juniors or seniors.
Yeah.
As a sophomore, he had 600+ receiving yards. This wasn't like out of the blue, this 1,500-yard season. He was very talented in his first couple of years. And then as a junior at 20 years of age, 1,555 yards. And you might say, well, Bowling Green is such a small school, easy competition. Look at what he did against Penn State. Look at what he did against Texas A&M. 2 ranked schools that were very much competing in the playoffs. Both games, he had 8+ catches, Both games, he had 135 plus receiving yards and he had 1 total touchdown between the 2 games. And it was very clear watching those 2 games. Harold Fannin is the only target on this offense that matters. Harold Fannin cannot be stopped. Like, that was it. The defense were double, triple covering him. Could not stop him. Like, it didn't matter. Every single team against Bowling Green knew we need to stop Harold Fannin. We need to stop Zero. No one could stop him.
Yeah.
It was just so abundantly clear. He carried this offense. And in Cleveland, I think there's going to be plenty of opportunity here. David Njoku obviously is there.
Yep.
So rookie year might be a bit quiet, especially considering that Harold Fannin is only 20 years old. However, the contract situation leads to David Njoku very likely being off the team in 2026, given his age, given the contract situation that he's going to be a free agent. He's probably not going to be on the team. Harold Fannin Jr. then has an opportunity to step up and be the tight end one of this offense with probably a new good quarterback coming in 2026. Or if one of these rookies somehow shine, you get that guy coming in year 2 in 2026. This sets up perfectly for Harold Fannin to have a dominant either year 2 or year 3. And I'm so excited. This is a guy that's proven he can carry an offense and just be the front man. And this receiving room is very empty right now. You have Jerry Jeudy, who's we don't know who he truly is. We saw the early career, then we saw this great breakout, and now we're just like, who is Jerry Jeudy? Was that Jameis Winston? Was it Jerry Jeudy breaking out? We'll have to see. And then outside of Jerry Jeudy, it's a very questionable receiving room with a bunch of guys that don't really scream, target earner. Harold Fannin could come in year 2 and be an immediate target earner and be a dominant player for this offense. I could not be more excited about him. I just don't get why people don't see the talent. He was one of the best tackle breakers in all. He led all tight ends in broken tackles. He almost I think he was like top 5 in yards after catch per reception in the country among tight ends with 30 plus targets. He was just a monster, just an absolute monster. I don't get why people don't see this talent.
I mean, you can even look at Harold Fannin outside of the scope of tight ends. He was the leading receiver in college football last year. He had more yards than any other player.
Yeah.
Like, not even tight ends. Like, he is a really exciting talent. You're right. He's only 20 years old. David Njoku is not long for the Browns, probably. I think the Njoku experiment might be over. I know people are still waiting for the Njoku breakout. I don't think it's coming, guys. I think Harold Fannin, there's a reason they drafted him. He's going to come in. They could run some 2 tight end sets. Jerry Jeudy's in there. I think that was a bit of a fluke. Jerry Jeudy did so well last year. Don't say it too loud. I don't think people like that, but I do think that was more Jameis Winston.
I think Jameis was a big reason for that Jerry Jeudy breakout. I'm not going to lie. I'm with you. I think he did look better. Genuinely, when watching him play compared to his Denver days, I think he did look better. But I do think the yardage and the production he had was really fluky because of Jameis Winston.
It's Jameis just does that to people, right? People he elevates receivers so well. So yeah, I'm excited for Harold Fannin as well, for sure, mate. I'm excited to see what he can do, and I'm excited for your last 3 picks as well. So who are you going to go at 210, 211, and 212?
So we're to go with Mason Taylor. He picked number 46. That was really gross. I did not like that. Mason Taylor picked another number. Then Jack Besh for the Raiders, 2nd round pick, and then Tyler Shuck for New Orleans is going to go at 24 for me.
Which one of those would you like to focus in on?
I'm going to focus on Tyler Shuck because I feel like he's going really later in rookie drafts, but I don't think people understand that he's a week 1 starter. Derek Carr is hurt, and if he's actually hurt the way he is, like the way we think he is, because the Saints have been incredibly questionable when reporting this. It's been really shady, really weird. The vibes have been terrible. That points to the fact that Derek Carr is probably really hurt, and he's likely not going to start week 1. I mean, who else are you going to put in? You're going to put in Jake Haener? You're going to put Spencer Rattler? No. You're going to put in the rookie because it brings excitement to the team. It brings some fun to the team. You're going to put in the rookie, even though he's like 27, 26 years old. You're going to put in the rookie. And that's going to immediately put him not at the top of Superflex drafts, not in the top of Dynasty rankings, but it's going to boost him really quickly. I feel like people aren't seeing yet like he's going to start week 1 and he deserves to be in the 2nd round of rookie drafts. Personally, once we get the report that he's starting week 1, I'm selling. I'm out. I'm out. I don't believe him as a talent at all. I don't believe him as a prospect at all. I think he's a bad player. I'm immediately selling. But the talent,
you are reading my mind.
But the first round, the week 1 potential is there.
Yep.
To get that in the 2nd round of rookie drafts in a Superflex league is going to be immensely valuable because that value is going to quickly spike.
I was going to tell you there are two words that come to mind when I think of Tyler Shuck, and it is instant profit.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you could flip this guy immediately as soon as he's declared the week one starter, which I do foresee coming. I'm putting out an offer. It's one of those ones. I don't know if you do them too much, Hutch. I'm a big fan of. I'm going to send every single person in my league the same offer, and whoever gets there first is going to get it. I'm going to offer a first round pick for Tyler Shuck. If I'm being real sneaky about it, I'm actually going to offer 2027 first round pick, not 2026, because that 27 class, my goodness me, so special. If
Jeremiah
I can
Smith and
get a
Ryan
first round,
Williams. Oh, yeah.
oh my goodness, yeah, don't even
Oh,
get me
yeah.
started. Like if I can get a 2027 first round pick for Tyler Shuck as soon as he's confirmed the starter, I'm snapping my hand off for that. Absolutely. So I think that's a really good value pick in there at the back end of the second
I'd take
round.
a couple seconds. If I could get a first, oh my god,
Good.
easily. But
Yeah.
if I can get a couple
Yeah.
seconds, I'd still jump on that.
Yeah. I'm absolutely there with you. So he is the final player off the board in the second round pick. We can't let you go without mentioning, everyone's favorite topic is these sleeper players, these guys that
Yeah.
are running deep in the third and fourth rounds. Do you got a couple of names in your mind about who you like taking in the third or the fourth round?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, one of them is Harold Fannin, but I took him here
Yeah.
in the second, but he usually goes in the third. So I'm just like, I could take him in the second if I wanted to in my rookie draft. And I'm like, he's gonna go with the third. He's gonna fall in the third. I'll
Yeah.
take him in the third round. I could take another guy here.
Absolutely. Yeah,
But
yeah.
a couple sleepers I really like. One of them is Jordan James, running back out of
Mhm.
Oregon. He was drafted at the San Francisco 49ers on day 3 of the
Yep.
NFL draft. He had 259 opportunities, over 1,400 yards as a junior, 26 of those coming in the receiving game. Absolutely great to see that. Isaac Rendo's fun, guys. He's fun, but he's been inconsistent with health and his play on the field. And then Christian
Mhm.
McCaffrey, we know the concerns there. This
Yeah,
San Francisco roster is incredibly thin. Jordan James could quickly become the starter for the San Francisco 49ers if some injuries were to happen, and he could
yeah,
quickly beat out Isaac Guerrero for the second job behind Christian
yeah.
McCaffrey.
Mhm.
Like, that San Francisco roster is thin, so I'm drafting Jordan James just in case something crazy were to happen to these other two guys. Jordan James could be like this year's, like waiver wire winner, where it's like all of a sudden
Yeah.
this guy's thrust into a starting role because guys are injured in front of him, and then he's a league winner in fantasy football. I think he really reminds me of Jordan Mason. Obviously, they have the same first name, but really they give me a lot of shades in each other's games, like physical running style, just up
Mm.
the middle, physical, decent as a receiver, but also has the quick twitch explosibility to take some runs to the house if you give him some space. Like, I think Jordan James is a great player, and I think he's really worth that third or fourth round draft capital. He's usually going in the
Yep.
fourth, but I'm happy to
Yep.
take him in the third if I have to.
And we know the San Francisco running backs are money. We've seen
They're
a
always
pretty
money. As long as they're
like
healthy,
some
they're money.
talented guys. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And he's got the talent to get in there for sure. And you got anyone else on the top of your head for final sleeper pick?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to go Jaden Blue. I mean, he's being
Yeah.
propped up a little bit for the same reasons I'm about to say. So you have to be careful with his draft capital. I'm willing to take him in the third round, but I've seen some people even start to sneak him in the second. I think that's a little aggressive given how late he went in the NFL draft. But
Yeah.
Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders are so uninspiring. I mean, they're not good. Javonte Williams is a good pass blocker. It'll keep him on the field and give him some receiving chops, but he's so not good. Miles Sanders did nothing in Carolina after moving on from Philadelphia and that elite offense. Jalen Blue's got sub 4.4 speed. He's got 6 foot, 200-pound frame. He's willing to be physical, but he can take some big time home run hits. I'm really excited to see what Jalen Blue does. I wasn't very high on him as a prospect, but he could
Yeah.
just so quickly move up this depth chart and become the Rico Dow of last year, where it's just there's nothing in front of him. He's able to quickly beat it as a rookie, and all of a sudden he's a starting back for the Dallas Cowboys.
Absolutely. Which we know is highly, highly valuable. And unfortunately, mate, that brings us to the end of our draft. I've had an absolute blast as usual with you on the show. Hutch, can you just remind everybody where can they find all your amazing work online?
Yeah, I want to appreciate you having me on the show. Greatly love being here. You can follow me on Twitter and on Blue Sky, Matt Hutchinson B_FF. Check out Hutch Coming in Clutch wherever you get your podcasts, on your favorite listening app, or on YouTube as well. And then also make sure to check out my work with Football Guys. I'll be doing a lot this summer as well as during the season. So make sure to stay tuned to Football Guys sites. There's some amazing things going on over there.
Absolutely love it. Thank you once again from me. And thanks, of course, everybody watching at home. If you've not already, make sure you're looking below, liking, and subscribing. And we'll be back very, very soon. But just remember, for the Dynasty, you need to know you want to keep it locked on the Certified Inferno. We'll see you soon.